All right. Oh. How we going, fellas? Righto. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Sorry, it's a bit of a late video tonight. The corner post will be rescheduled probably later on through the week. Had a bit of a busy afternoon. But guys, welcome to the show. Tonight, I'm going to be doing my NRL ladder predictor from the round 9 of the NRL. Oh, round 19 this weekend. And I'm going to do my ladder predictor. I thought, Entertain House did something similar a few weeks back, so I thought I'd wait until we get maybe 8 to 7 weeks till finals. So we'll see what we end up with, but let's say hello to the chat. We got a few people rolling in here at the moment. Jack Wotherspoon, how you going, brother? We got Ryan here, the Cronulla supporter. Faraz Alam is here as well. How you going, bro? He just says unlucky on the Cows and the Bronx. Yeah, bro, that's exactly right. G'day, Jason. Hope you're doing well, mates. The Greasy Gamer is here as well. Jack, my night is going well, mate. I hope yours is doing well as well, my friend. Golden Anime, how you going, bro? Isaac and Ra and everyone's just rolling. And what we're gonna do? Gonna wait for a few more people to jump in here, guys. And I'll get into my NRL ladder predictor for the remainder of the season. But guys, we're back in about 20 seconds. All right, a flip in. All right, that's ripping the list, fellas. Righto, so let me just start by saying, before I get into it, if you do not agree with my ladder predictor, that is absolutely fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. Everyone's going to have their 2 cents on it. So, look, we'll get into it in a second. So, g'day, Chairman Videos. How you going, bros? Faraz is here once again. Golden Anime, how do I join you on your late night football show and discuss? Because I want to join. I haven't been able to. So, Golden Anime, you have to send me a message on Instagram. And you have to download the app called StreamYard, and I can send you the link of the live chat, and yeah, you can come on that way, bro. Send me a message on Instagram, bro, and we'll talk more about it on that. But as we've been doing, lads, so my NRL ladder predictor, we're going to go through it round by round. So sit back and enjoy. I hope your team makes the 8. So we'll see how we go, but. My tipping video will be tomorrow afternoon around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Just because I tip these teams now for round 19 doesn't necessarily mean that they will be my tips for the round of 40 ahead, because I can change my mind just like that. So let's get into it, guys. So we're going to go through game by game with the margins here. It only gives you a certain amount of margins. It gives you 1 point, 2 points, 4, 8, 12, 18, 24, 30, 38, 48. So that's just how it is. So let's get into it. So Parramatta versus Canberra. I'm going to go Parramatta here. I'm going to go Parramatta by about 18 points in that game there. Roosters versus Knights. I'm going to go the Roosters in that one as well. Roosters by 4. Could be a tight game, that one. Storm versus Cowboys. Well, I think Melbourne are going to put the Cowboys in the morgue, so I'm going to go Melbourne by 48. South Sydney versus New Zealand. I think South Sydney probably get the job done there, so South by 30. Manly versus Tigers. You got to go Manly. Manly will win that, and they will probably win well. Manly by 48. I don't see how the Tigers can beat the Seagulls. Panthers versus Broncos. Probably more of the same, to be honest. I'll go Penrith by 38 there. Dragons and Titans is a real toss to coin, but I'm going to back the Dragons to get the job done there. Dragons by 8. Doggies and the Sharks. I think Cronulla get the job done there, so I'll go the Sharks, but maybe by 12. I'll go Sharks by 12. Why not? Right. Let's move on to round 20, lads. Round 20. Right. Roosters versus Eels. This is another tight game of footy. I'll go Parramatta. Parramatta by 8. Could be a close game, that one. Tigers and the Warriors. Toss the coin game, but I'll go the Tigers to win that by 4. Broncos and the Cowboys. The big Queensland derby up at Suncorp. I'll go the Cowboys there. I think the Cowboys, they will bounce back there. So Cowboys by 18. I think they're a much better side than the Broncos. Dragons and the Rabbitohs. That could be a good game. It really could be. It has potential, but I'll go South. South by 8. Knights and the Raiders. This is another really difficult game to predict. I'm going to go I'll go the Knights. Knights just. Let's go Newcastle by 2 points. Should be a really tight game, that one. Melbourne versus Penrith. Wow. The grand final rematch. First versus second on the ladder. I don't even know if Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai will even be back by then. So I'm going to go Melbourne based on that. Melbourne by 4. Could literally go either way. Dogs and the Titans. I think the Titans win that one. I don't see the Dogs winning many games for the rest of the year. So we'll go the Doggies. The Titans. Sorry, the Titans by 18. That'd be too good for the Dogs, surely. Sharks versus Manly. The Battle of the Beaches. A good rivalry here. Manly to beat Cronulla. We'll go Manly by 4, though. It could be a tight game. Right now, it's getting to round 21, fellas. Knights versus Broncos. I think the Knights will win that game. I reckon Knights by 8, though. It could be tight. Raiders and Dragons. This is another tough game to predict, but I'm going to go the Dragons. I think the Dragons are a better team than the Raiders are this year, so we'll go the Dragons by 8. I really think the Dragons by 8. Eels versus Rabbitohs. Wow, far out. This is a really, really big game. 2 top 4 sides going at it. 4th versus 3rd. I'm going to lean towards the Bunnies to beat Parramatta, but we'll go South by 1, maybe an Adam Reynolds field goal or something. Warriors and the Sharks. The Sharks beat them the other week. I'm going to go the Warriors. Warriors in an upset. I think at this stage, on what I'm predicting to happen, I think the Warriors will be due and desperate. So Warriors to beat the Sharks by 4 points. Roosters and Panthers. I think the Panthers win, and I think they win well. The Roosters have got a lot of injuries, and we've seen this year they have gone pretty ordinary against the top sides. So Panthers to win by about 24 points. Manly versus Melbourne. This is a mouth-watering game. This is a potential grand final, an old rivalry here. Manly versus Melbourne. I'm going to go the Seagulls. I think at Brookie or wherever it ends up being due to the virus, I'm going to go the Seagulls by 4 points. Bulldogs and the West Tigers. I'm going to go the Tigers. I probably trust the Tigers more than the Dogs. So Tigers to win by 8 points. Dogs will be competitive. Titans versus the Cowboys up at the Gold Coast. I'll be attending the game if the border stays open. So I'm going to go the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys are a much better side than the Gold Coast. So Cowboys to win by 12 points in that one there. Round 22. This is a very, very interesting game. Storm versus Raiders. Can the Raiders shock them? Well, probably not. So Melbourne to beat Canberra, probably by about 24 points, I'd say. Dragons and Panthers. Dragons are still in 7th spot, believe it or not, but I think Penrith will be too good for the Dragons. So Penrith by about 18 points. Broncos and the Roosters. The Broncos did beat the Roosters a few weeks back, or about 2 months ago now, when they were trying to they were celebrating Jake Friend's retirement. So I think the Roosters will bounce back, but I think it'll be a really tight game. So I'm going to go the Roosters by 2 points. Broncos will be competitive in that game. South Sydney versus the Gold Coast up at apparently Central Coast Stadium, but who knows? I'll go South. South by 30. Gold Coast don't have a chance against the Bunnies. Cowboys versus West Tigers. This is another tough game. I'll go the Cowboys at home. I think it'll be tight, but who really knows with the Cowboys? I'll go Cowboys by 2. Could go either way, that one. Manly versus Parramatta. Now, this game could determine the top 4. fourth position. But I think the Seagulls win it if it's at Brookie. I think the Seagulls win if the game's at Brookie. If it's in the Gold Coast or if it's in Brisbane due to the virus, then it's a real toss of the coin. So I'll go Manly to beat Parramatta. Manly by 4 points. That'll be a really tight game. New Zealand versus Canterbury. I think New Zealand, you can't trust them, but I trust them enough to beat the Dogs. So we'll go the Warriors to have a big win over the Dogs. So the Warriors by 30 points. Warriors have a big win there. Cronulla versus Newcastle. This is a big game. I'm gonna lean towards Newcastle. I think Newcastle are better at full strength than Cronulla. So Newcastle to win by 2 points. Could go either way though. That game. Righto, round 23, lads. Round 23. This is going to be very interesting. First game, Gold Coast versus Melbourne. Got to go Melbourne. Sorry, Gold Coast. You know, I have a bit of a thing against the Gold Coast, but their run home is just impossible. They're playing all the top sides pretty much. So Melbourne will beat the Gold Coast. Melbourne by 30 at least. Canberra versus Manly. I'm going to go the Seagulls. Canberra are good on their day, but you can't trust Canberra. You don't know what to get from them. So Manly by 4 in that one. Penrith versus South Sydney. Now this is mouth-watering. South Sydney have failed to beat Melbourne twice this year, and they got smashed by Penrith earlier in the year. I'd love to tip South, but I'm going to go Penrith. Penrith by 2 though. It'd be a really tight game, that one. Tigers and the Sharks. This is another really tough game. Do you trust the Tigers, or do you think the Sharks bounce back? I've got to lean towards the Sharks. Sharks to get home against the Tigers by about 8 points. Probably a tight game though. Dogs and the Knights. You got to go the Knights. You can't tip the Dogs. You really can't. Eels and the Cowboys. I mean, I love to tip the Cowboys here, but Parramatta win this game easily. So Parramatta by about 30 for mine. Dragons and Roosters. I think the Roosters probably just get over them. There's not much in it. I'm going to go the Roosters by 1 point. I haven't got 1 point yet. Roosters by 1 against the Drags. Broncos and the Warriors. This is difficult, but the Warriors have got to win this. So I'm going to go with New Zealand to win. Probably a really tight one, though. Where are we? Hang on. My phone's just decided to crash on me. Hang on. I'm pretty sure it's all fixed up. Hang on. Where are we? Round 20. Where are we? Here we go. We're back on track. Righto. So New Zealand versus Brisbane. I think New Zealand probably beat the Broncos here, but not much in it. New Zealand by 8 for mine. So let's move on to round 24. 2 rounds to go until the semi-finals. Righto. Here we go. Newcastle versus the Gold Coast. This is another fascinating game. I'm going to go with the Gold Coast. I think they're due for a win here, the Titans. So we're going to get the Titans to win by 4 points in what should be an interesting game. Warriors and the Raiders. I'm going to lean towards the Warriors. I think the Warriors can make a good run for the back end of the year, maybe. So Warriors by 4. Roosters versus South. I'm going to go the Rabbitohs here. The Bunnies to win by 2. Dragons versus Cowboys. Could go either way, but I'll go the Cowboys by 8. I think they need to win this game, and the Dragons have sort of lost their form at this point of the season. So Cowboys by about 8. Sharks and Broncos. Oh, God. This is difficult. You know what? I'm going to go the Broncos. I think if the Broncos can beat the Roosters and if they can beat the Sharks earlier, like a couple of weeks ago, like they did, then I think they can do it again. So Broncos to beat the Sharks here by 4 points. Storm versus Parramatta. This is a beauty. This is a bloody beauty. I'm going to go... I want to go Parramatta, but I just can't. So I'm going to go Melbourne by 8. Melbourne by 8. Shout out to the Greasy Gamer. Sorry, bro, about your Sharks. But who knows? Anything could happen. Seriously, anything could happen. Manly versus Canterbury. Manly win by at least 48, bro. I can't see how the Dogs are even going to go close. Absolutely no way that the Dogs will beat Manly. Panthers and Tigers. You got to go Panthers. Panthers by 24 points. Right. Now, the final bloody round. Everyone's going off that I tip Cowboys over Dragons. I mean, who's gonna be playing for the Dragons? So who really knows what's going to happen at that late in the year? Righto, round 25. Now you got to remember too, teams that are in the top 4 are probably going to rest their players. So just keep that in mind. Raiders and Roosters. I don't see how the Raiders can win this one. So I'm going to go the Roosters, and I'm going to go the Roosters by about 8 points. So Sharks versus Storm. Melbourne win this, and they probably win it well. Melbourne by 30. I don't see how Cronulla. I just don't see how the Sharks can win that. Eels and the Panthers. I'm going to go the Panthers here. Panthers by 8 in a really, really good game. Broncos and Knights. I don't know why, but I just feel like the Broncos can finish the year off well. And, the Broncos played their last game of the year against the Knights, a team that are fighting for the 8. So maybe to frustrate Newcastle, I'm going to go the Broncos by 4 points here. Cowboys versus Seagulls. This is going to be interesting. Now, Manly probably rest their origin stars here. They probably do. If Manly got top 4, it's a tough game. You know what? I don't care what people say. Call me biased. I don't care. Back your team all the way to the end. Cowboys to beat Manly. Cowboys by 2. South Sydney versus St. George. I'm going to go Souths. Souths by 24 points or so. Titans versus the Warriors. I mean, another really tough game to get a read on, but I'm going to go the Gold Coast only because it's at the Gold Coast. Titans by 12. I mean, why not? Gold Coast by 12. And Tigers and the Bulldogs. I'm leaning towards the Tigers. I don't see how the Bulldogs are going to win. And, right, so this is what my ladder has ended up as. Wow, this is crazy. The fact that you can make 7th and 8th position on the ladder this year with more losses and wins is just absolutely crazy. So the ladder that I ended up with, first place, minor premiers, is Melbourne. Second is Penrith. Third is South Sydney. Fourth is Parramatta. 5th, Manly. 6th, Roosters. 7, Knights, and 8th, Cowboys. 9th, the Dragons. 10th is the Sharks. 11th is the Warriors. 12th is the Titans. Tigers in 13. Raiders in 14. Broncos in 15. And Dogs finishing last. I don't know how I ended up with Canberra in 14th, but I don't believe in them. I really don't. Right, week 1 of the finals. Melbourne versus Parramatta. Melbourne versus Parramatta. I'm going to lean towards Melbourne. Sadly, I hope Parramatta can get them, but Melbourne will win that. Manly versus the Cowboys. I think Manly win this game by plenty. Manly will destroy us. Look, I don't care who finishes 7th and 8th. If you play Manly or Parramatta week 1, you're going to get decimated. So I'm going to tip the Seagulls to beat the Cowboys by about 40 plus. Roosters versus Knights. Wow, this is tough because the Roosters are the Roosters got injuries and it's tough, very tough. I really want to go Newcastle, but I don't know if I can. I'll go the Roosters. Only just. I'll lean towards the Roosters. So yeah, Roosters to beat the Knights, but would love to see Newcastle upset them in the finals. Panthers versus South Sydney. This is a cracker. This is an absolute cracker. I'm going to lean towards Penrith, but with not a lot of confidence, to be honest. Week 2 of the finals, so the 2 semi-final games. Parramatta versus Manly, an old rivalry game here. I'm going to go Manly. I think the Seagulls will get the job done over Parramatta. And the other semi-final is another old rivalry. It's the Rabbitohs versus the Roosters. Wow. I'll go Souths. Souths to win. Now, the final four. The final four. Melbourne versus Souths and Penrith versus Manly. Melbourne versus South Sydney is quite interesting, but you know what? I think Wayne Bennett's got something up his sleeve here. I'm going to go the Bunnies to beat Melbourne in the preliminary final. People are going to say that's stupid and just crazy, but I feel like I feel like Melbourne, they're a bit vulnerable in the big games this year without Cameron Smith. So we'll see how they go. We'll see how they handle it and all that. But I'm going to tip South Sydney to beat Melbourne in the preliminary final. And the final preliminary final, it's Penrith versus Manly. This is mouthwatering, fellas. This is an absolute cracker. I'm going to go with Manly. Tommy Turbo can't be stopped at the moment. So the grand final that I've ended up with is the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Really history in the chat just put me in absolute stitches. He writes, "Fuck Melbourne." I have to agree. The grand final that I've ended up with. Now I didn't expect this. I didn't think this was going to happen. South Sydney versus Manly. I don't know how this has happened, but the team I had winning the premiership, I had the Seagulls winning the whole thing. I just think the form that Tom Trbojevic is in is just unbelievable. And, everyone's going to have a different view on this, but I think the grand final is going to be the South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Manly Warringah Seagulls. I think Manly win the comp with Tom Trbojevic. Everyone's going to say, "Oh, but you don't have Manly in your top four, mate." I don't care. I really don't care. If you have form and momentum, you can do anything. Don't matter where you finish. So I've got the Manly Seagulls winning the 2021 grand final against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. But who knows, honestly. Everyone talks about a two-horse race between Melbourne and Penrith. Well, I see them both being – they're beatable. Any team's beatable. Seriously, any team is beatable on the day. You could dominate a whole season and one game is all it takes for you to stuff up and just fade off. It's all it takes. But I've got Manly winning the premiership against South Sydney in the grand final. Everyone's going to say, "What about Penrith? What about Melbourne?" Here's what I will say. I think with South Sydney, they've lost to the big sides already. They've lost to Melbourne twice. They lost to Melbourne in round one, which was a really tight game. They lost by 8. They got flogged by 50, which, is obviously disappointing. And Penrith did put 50 on them as well. But you got to remember, as long as you make that top 8, anything can happen. It doesn't matter. As long as you make the top 8, you can literally do anything. We've all seen in the past where teams have done incredible things in the top 8, 2005, the West Tigers finished 4th. They went on to win the comp. And then 2006, Brisbane finished 3rd, and they went out. They played St George, who finished 6th. And they got beaten the first week, Brisbane. They ended up winning the grand final. 2009, Parramatta finished 8th. Jared Hayne just went on that incredible run. 2011, the Warriors finished where? What was it? Where they finished 7th or 6th? They ended up making the grand final. And then you've had, whatever years have there been? You've had 2014, the Bulldogs finished 7th. They made the grand final, got beat by South Sydney. You've had 2017. You've had the Cowboys finish 8th and make the grand final from nowhere. You've had all these teams in the past do all these incredible things, and everyone talks about, oh, it's a two-race competition. You really don't know what's going to happen. You play bad one night, there goes your season. It's all it takes. Look at last year's grand final. Everybody thought that everyone thought Penrith were going to beat Melbourne. And look what happened. Penrith had the worst first half of football that they had all year, and Melbourne's experience ended up getting the job done. So it comes down to the day of the game. You don't know what's going to happen. If you go there with the right mentality and you play your best against the other side who might not be at their best because they're a bit nervous and they're under pressure, and you do stuff during the game which surprises them, you really don't know what's going to happen. But look, I've got a Manly versus Rabbitohs grand final. I could be wrong, but what I will say is rugby league, it's unpredictable. It's the greatest game of all, and anything can happen on the day of the game, especially in the finals. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little ladder predictor video. If you did, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Lads, I'm getting out of here. I've got Manly winning the grand final from 5th spot against South Sydney, who I have finishing 3rd. Tommy Turbo will probably win the Clive Churchill medal. So, Guys, I'm getting out of here. Have a fantastic, Monday night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for the, tomorrow afternoon, I should say, for the round 19. Round 19? Yeah, round 19 tips of the NRL. So until then, lads, take care of yourself. See you later.